Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name's Jason Newland. This is Let Me Bore You to Sleep. It's going to be a Monday's Boring Objects. Now, little problem. Did I say only listen when you can safely close your eyes? Well, I have now anyway. I'm not sure whether or not the microphone is picking up the very loud music from downstairs. If it is, there might be a problem. If it is, then I might just make one version of it, because it's going to be difficult to add music to music, if you know what I mean. And I won't be able to put it onto Facebook, onto YouTube, because of copyright, because they're playing copyright, playing like up-to-date music. Up-to-date, it doesn't matter if it's up-to-date or not, but it's I won't be able to post that on YouTube. You might not be able to hear it, I don't know. I can hear it. With the headphones, I can hear it, but they're not noise-cancelling headphones, if that makes sense. So either way, I'll still do the recording. If the music's too loud, then I'll still release it, because my voice will still be a lot louder than the music, I hope. But I might be limited to only doing releasing without music ones, like a normal length 5 and 10 hour without music, because otherwise it will just it'll be a little weird. Although it might not be to hear a single thing. It might just be a bit of vibration. So before I start, just let you know, so my website's jasonnewland.com, where all my latest recordings are on there. So it's a good place to actually listen to the recordings, to be fair, because you can go onto the website. Let me just have a look. Go onto the website, jasonnewland.com. You can play it faster or slower. You can also download the recording. You can go back 10 seconds or go forward 30 seconds, jump forward. As I said, you can download the actual recording episode so you can listen to it at another time without being on the internet. So, it's up to you. It's pretty cool. In fact, sometimes I listen back to my recordings, like the whole thing. If I want a nice little sleep, having a little nap or something, what I might do is, listen to. Usually I don't listen to the long versions, all with music. I just listen to the one without music, normal length. So, yesterday it was, blimey, 2 hours and 21 minutes, 50 seconds long, which is a long recording. Normally, an hour or so. See, why the music started? The music was on, but it was a low. And then another neighbour slammed their door really loudly. And that's when the neighbour put the music up. That happened in the summer. One would have the music up loud, then the other one would put the music up louder, and then they'd put theirs up louder, and it was just... It wasn't much fun for me, if I'm honest. But then the good thing about it is if Vinny barks, it doesn't affect me, because I haven't got to worry about him disrupting or disturbing or annoying the neighbours, because they're probably not even going to hear him. So that's good. And I can watch TV, because I've got noise cancelling headphones, which I can use to watch TV or watch a YouTube or watch a video or whatever. So I can a movie, so I can do that, and that does cancel out the sound, but not the vibrations. and that's where I kind of get a little bit stuck, is with the old vibrations, the bass. Never been a big bass fan, to be fair. Anyway, Facebook. My Facebook group is Jason Newland's Boring Group, if you want to join. And what else? Oh, YouTube. Oh yeah, thank you, Mary, for your PayPal gift and your very kind words. Thank you very much. I did post a thank you, and I did send you an email. Also, yeah, on my YouTube channel, I've been uploading daily. In fact, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 days ahead scheduled, because it's the 31st today of March 2025. That music's annoying me. And then I've got up to the 4th of April, so at midnight every night they'll be released. The thing is, with the music, it's not on that loud very often, and when it is on, it's not usually on for long. But I was sitting here and I was thinking I should make a recording, but my 2 options, I've got 3 options. I can go out, but I've already been out recently with him. I can go to bed, or I can make a recording. Everything else is kind of, it's a little bit too loud for me to watch TV unless I turn the TV up really loud, and it's a bit too loud for me to go to bed. I can have a nap, have some audio book playing, which I sometimes do when the music's up, but generally it's not usually this bassy. But they've got like really good sound system. So YouTube, anyway, YouTube is, it's going all right, actually. It's going all right. It's it dips during the day. It really does. Picks up early hours in the morning, which means that's probably because maybe the majority of the people that listen are from America, maybe, or countries where they've got a different. Let's have a look. Where does it say it? Yeah, 41.3% are from United States who actually watch my videos. United Kingdom 14.7%. Canada 1.5%, Australia 0.8%, Sweden 0.8%, and where we got India, South Africa, Germany and Brazil at like 0.4% and 0.3%. So, United States is definitely way above views wise than anyone else. Which explains why the early hours would be a time when they'd be listened to, because it's not early hours in America. So thank you for those of you that do watch my videos on YouTube. I've been making some nice videos, actually. So we've got, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Tomorrow's one is got flowers in the video. Wednesday's got birds, lots of birds, lovely birds. And what's it, Tuesday? It's Monday today, so Tuesday, Wednesday's got clouds, and Thursday's got rivers. So yeah, it's cool. I'm ever so excited. Other than that, I don't know what else to say. So yeah, apparently we've got really nice weather coming up, according to the Daily Star. Let's have a look. Anything else in here? Bill Murray says he regrets never working with Clint Eastwood. Me too. I never got a chance to work with him. pop star, apparently Anastasia Skunk and Anesia singer Skin has revealed how opera legend Luciano Pavarotti gave her a bad tummy with food. Okay, cool. I'm not cool, but you know, I don't know why. Ron Howard has revealed that the one thing he could lure him back into acting. Okay, that's what was it? Chochi? Was it? What was his name in Richie? Wasn't it in Happy Days? Richie, Chochi. What was the one that was a bit like Fozzie Bear? Oh, I can't remember. But Richie. It was Richie, wasn't it? Because obviously Fonzie. Oh. So the 71-year-old retreated from being in front of the lens as a Happy Days star to become one of the Hollywood's most successful directors. He says, I think if my daughter Bryce cast me in something, it would compel me to put down the directing and show up. So his daughter is a director. Okay, so that was that story. Just having a look. Diddly. Millie's a beach brutie. Millie Bobby Brown poses in a bikini. Oh, look at that later. So apparently, oh look, Brits all set to hit the beach in 25°C temperatures. Britain's going to be at 25 degrees. It's a nice day, but is that sunbathing weather? Is it? I don't know. Britain's going to be hotter than the Mediterranean next week as a 500-mile wide Portuguese plume blows in with 25 centigrade temperature. Great. Let's have a look. This is it. It may seem like a typical Monday, but it's about to get a lot brighter. Today, laddies and gentlemen, is National Crayon Day. An annual chance to get sketching and celebrate the multicoloured art tools. Okay. Maybe that will be my... Will that be my... Yeah, perhaps that will be what I'll talk about. Could do. I could talk about crayons. I don't know. Is crayons really a subject, though? Smartphone sleep zombies. Using a phone or laptop in bed is turning us into sleep zombies. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I think it's the light, isn't it? Something to do with the blue light or something, which is not great for our brains prior to going to sleep. I don't know. I'm no expert. What? Who's that? Who is that? I'm just looking at this is like the celebrity thing. There was certainly no shortage of girl power in the star-studded Billboard Women in Music shindig, happily sharing a spotlight on the carpets. Blackpink's Jennie and Tyler were all smiles as they posed together. They went home with the global force impact. So which one's which? I mean, I would know that if I had any kind of updated knowledge with music, but I've no idea. It doesn't say. I suppose we're supposed to know, aren't we? People that read these newspapers, they should know who's what. But that might need a bit of examination. Yeah. Gen Z's phone therapy. Gen Z. Did I just say Gen Z? Gen Z. We don't say Z in this country. We say Z. Mind you, what did I hear someone say? I heard someone the other day use the term diapers. Right? Like it was an English person. Used the term in a conversation with me, talking about buying diapers. And I was like, really? How can you? We don't call them diapers in this country. We call them nappies. Always have called them nappies, and I always will call them nappies. But I'm wondering, do they now call them diapers? Maybe they've actually got diapers on the title of the label, because I never used to call them diapers. I knew that that's what America called them, because that's, you know, it's a different thing. They've got different names for things, like they say Caribbean instead of Caribbean, aluminum instead of aluminium. Yes, it's just, but diapers is like a completely different word. Well, it means the same thing, but nappies is what we use in this country. Unless, of course, we don't. Maybe, hard to believe, but maybe I'm not in touch with or up to date anymore. So Gen Z staff are being trained in how to have phone conversations. See, I find that's difficult to understand. What is Gen Z? Is that like the young people now? Oh, it says it. Those born between 1997 and 2012 are lacking social skills. See, the thing is, anyone born in 2012 will have grown up once they got to the age of, well, yeah, they'd have grown up with smartphones, wouldn't they? And I'm led to believe, from what I, see when people are basically talking on their phones all the time. So they can talk. And they might just, instead of using a phone, they're just using different apps, aren't they? Like, I don't know what the different apps are. But to say that old people born between 97 and 2012 don't have the ability to have a conversation on the phone, I think that's a bit of a weird thing. Stop having to go at the young people. Oh, blood, she's putting the phone. The music's up even louder now. She sent me a message saying, is it too loud? I'm going to say yes. No, she hasn't. Okay. Wow. It's a bit annoying. So yeah, this is always like Gen Z. What was the generation name for my parents' age? Post-war. Not bomb babies, war babies. What is it? Like post-war babies. God, there's a term for it, isn't there? I mean, I don't think I have a term, because I was born in 70. I don't think I have there's a term for me. I was just born. Unless there is now. Millennial. What's a millennial? I know what the millennial means. I know I'm not going to tell you, but I do know what it means. But I do, honest. But what is a millennial? Someone that was born this century? Is that what it is? Someone was born after 2000. That's a millennial. So that's also a Gen Z as well. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, leave the young people alone. I mean, it's kind of like having a go at someone my age, or yeah, having a go at someone born in 1980 for not being able to use a telex machine, or someone born in 1990 for not knowing how to use a fax machine. You know, these things were still in operation when they were born, but once they got to the be working age, or once they got to the age of 10, 7, 8, 9, 10, they weren't used anymore. I can't remember the last time a fax machine was probably used. Telex machine? Wow. I had this job, right, and I genuinely spent, I think, 2 days trying to send a telex, and it's basically just a message. It's easy. I did learn how to use a fax machine later on, like in a different job. But this telex, like, it's supposed to be easy, because it's not made, and I don't mean this rudely, but it's not made to be complicated. It doesn't take huge intelligence to use. You still need to know how to use it, but it's not complicated. I mean, anything can be a little bit complicated, I suppose, if you've not done it before. Like backflips. But I couldn't grasp it. And I was sort of sent out into the back office by the boss. Go and do it. No, that's wrong. Do it again. That's wrong. Do it again. And I was like, the pressure was too much. Yeah, that's what I think what it was. It's like, yeah, I feel I'd have been quite good at that job if I'd have had a decent boss. And that's not generally the case, to be fair. I've messed up a lot of jobs regardless of who was in charge. But on this particular job, it was working... let's talk about this. Boring objects, working in a freight company. That's what I'm going to talk about. So let's put this one down. I'm going to put working on the docks. Working on the docks. So that's going to be the boring object. It was 1989. I'd just come out of... This is when I left the job in the pub. And... what was it called? The Flying Horse, or the Flying Picket, or the Flying Munchkin, or something like that. And a proper grotty place it was. Which is weird, because it was connected to a fairly nice hotel. But that pub was on the corner of the building, and it was rotten. There was nothing wrong with how it was inside, but just it was the people it attracted. It was one of the roughest pubs in the town. I got no idea why. It's just where people congregated, and it was very strange place. But then the town's a very strange place. Anyway. So I finished that job. I left on New Year's Eve after working, and them saying you've got to come back New Year's Day. I said, I'm not. I'm going to be nannying Granddad's for lunch, because it's New Year's Day, and I've worked all over Christmas. And they said, if you don't come back, if you don't turn up, you're sacked. And I said, well, okay, see ya. And so that was the end of that job. And then the beginning of the year started. I didn't have a job. I was looking for work, and had a bit of a weird experience where I was living. So I kind of needed to get out of there. But around the same time, I had a job interview in this haulage company. So basically what they did is they delivered stuff. A haulage, basically they to all over the country, and they delivered very toxic material to wherever. So they're basically tankers, big old tankers they were. Tank haulage. So I got a job there just as an office assistant. But it was on the docks, and I thought it was an opportunity to actually maybe build something, you know? Can you hear the music? Do, 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 do. Just let you know, if the music is loud in the background, then I will release it. There won't be any long versions. It'll just be the one version, and that's it. Because yeah, it won't work otherwise. But I won't. I'm not checking this recording out, and I can't stop until they stop the music, because it could be going on for hours. I don't know. She might have fallen asleep. Who knows? Maybe she's gone out. Maybe it's her singing. I don't know. And oh, that's good. I like this song. Do 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 do. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be on YouTube. Sorry. Oh well. Yes. So I thought seems okay. I had my own little desk. Well, it's a big desk, but I had a desk. The manager he seemed okay, but he was very young. Probably 25. And the person that used to work there had left. And that's all there was. Just me and him in that office. And there was a lorry drivers would come and go, and come in for a chat and drinking their coffee and stuff. So that was, I quite liked it, kind of. But at the same time, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I needed training. Like, I'd never used a computer. I didn't, even though my dad got a computer when we was at school, I had no interest in computers, which is a bit ironic, I suppose, considering that I became quite able to use computers now over the last 25 years. But yeah, I was a late bloomer to the old computers. I mean, the first computer I had was, I think, 98. So yeah, I never interested in computers, and this was 89. So they sent me on a computer course to Harrogate, and it lasted for about 5 days. So they paid for my travel, put me up it might have been 3 days, I don't know, but they put me up in a really nice hotel. It's probably still one of the best hotels I've ever stayed in. Huge place. And I had dinner, right? I had my evening meal with the managing director of the company, because they had branches all over the place. I think their head office was in Harrogate, I guess. So I had that, and there was the other bloke he wasn't the managing director, but he was really high up as well. And I'm having an evening meal in a restaurant with these two men, both fully grown men. I'm 18. Yeah, 18 years old at the time. I was very much out of my depth. Didn't know what to say to them, because they were probably in their 40s, maybe 50s even. But both very friendly, very kind of, weren't treating me like any different and just treating me nicely. And I can't remember what we had a meal, but we did that, and then I think we did that the day I arrived. I got there in the afternoon, and yeah. Then the next day I did my training. I think it was possibly 2 days of training. And the next night I just didn't know what to do, because I had no money. because I hadn't been paid yet. So I hadn't been there a month yet. So I think I might have borrowed some money off my dad. But I didn't have any money to go anywhere. The hotel was really out of the way, so you need a car or a taxi to get to the town. And I couldn't go drinking in the bar, or couldn't do anything like that. So all I could do was order food, and that was on the tab. So what I did is I ordered some food I've got some, room service. And I got huge room. This is a huge room. They couldn't find me. No, that was a huge room. And yeah, still the best hotel I've stayed in. But then I haven't really stayed in many hotels around the world. Or not around the world, but like in my life. Yeah. Not any nice ones. I've been in quite a few hotels, but usually on courses and staying in maybe like a function room and, then going home. Or, wait a minute, there was one up near Manchester I stayed in, but that was wasn't like small pub. Actually, it was quite a nice place, but it was a bit more cozier. This was just big, kind of thing that I'd expect to see if I went to London and stayed in a city and stayed in like a named hotel, as opposed to the Holiday Inn or something like that, which would be my chosen. If I was going to book a hotel, I would go for the Holiday Inn. That's kind of would be my chosen thing. Although they've outpriced themselves now. There was a time, I remember, it's not even that long ago, where you could get a room for 50, 60 quid for the night on a Saturday night. Could go to London. Again, it wasn't that, honestly, okay, maybe it was 20 years ago, but it wasn't that long. Don't seem that long ago. And I'd go to London, stay there for, maybe go there Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, drop my stuff off. Sometimes I'd try and get the hotel as close to the comedy club as possible, because that's where I'd be going in the evening. But other times I'd make do with being in Stratford, and then I'd get a taxi home. But it was handy, because then instead I was just still only paying like 60 quid, 50, 60 quid a night, which was a nice weekend out, because it didn't cost me anything to go out. I got into the club for free. I didn't really drink anyway, so it wasn't going to cost me much in the way of drink. My friend would always give me drinks anyway, because it was his club, and I'd always get a free meal from him as well. So, from the restaurant. So, yeah, it was I would have spent more in the club than I did on the hotel room. And included in the hotel room was generally a breakfast in the morning on Sunday, and then I'd come home. So I'd have to get out by 11 or something. But yeah, they've really outpriced themselves. Because they used to be like a cheap alternative, cheap and cheerful. Small rooms, cheap and cheerful. There might be, neighbours. It's not necessarily going to be soundproof rooms or anything, but for a short stay, it was all right. But yeah, outpriced themselves, I tell you. And I keep repeating it. So anyway, this hotel was nice, but what happened on the last day is I got my food. So I think the second day I went down to the restaurant and had my dinner, and I was sitting there on my own, and I'd never done that before. And I felt very self-conscious sitting in this. It was a big restaurant and being waited on. I didn't feel comfortable with that. I'd never sat in a restaurant on my own. I have now, quite a few times over the years, but I just wanted to get out of there. It's like eat the food and get out. And also, I couldn't leave a tip because I had no money to leave a tip. Because I pretty much I was allowed to get drinks, soft drinks, as part of the thing, part of the deal or whatever it was, So I couldn't get alcoholic drinks, but I could get soft drinks as well as food. So that's what I did. And so the last night I got room service. It's quite weird because the manager said, "Do you want to come out down for lunch? We'll go have dinner again." I said, "No, I'm just gonna stay in." I think I said, I'm not sure. I partly made that up. I want to make out that they they enjoyed themselves so much with me that they wanted to spend more time. I mean, there wasn't a lot for us to discuss, me being 18 and them being 100, and I don't think I had much to offer to the conversation, to be honest. Just me personally, nothing to do with the age really, it's just what I was like when I was that age. And I wasn't very confident. But I got food poisoning. It's really crazy. It only lasted for it's just like it left my system pretty soon. And I felt a little bit rubbish for a day, but that was it. It wasn't anything major. But it was like, wow, that was really weird. Every other part of the whole thing was nice. The experience was good. But I did feel a little bit trapped in the hotel because I couldn't do anything. It was like I went for a walk and I got lost. Then I realised I was still in my bedroom. No, it wasn't that big. But I went for a walk and just it was a big hill and just there doesn't seem to be much point in this, so I just went back. Watched TV, went to bed, got up, and I don't remember much about the computer course. I think what it was is I went into the head office, and a member of staff just showed me around, like how the system works and the kind of things they do, and it was, to be fair, probably the only bit of training I really got the whole time I was there. The only proper bit of training. And it wasn't really anyone's fault, because so I get back, I go back to the job. As I had about half a week off, went back to the job, and my manager expected me to know what to do, and I didn't, because to learn something like computers and how to use a computer and stuff, even back when I really got into computers even though I had a computer in 98, I didn't start using it properly until 2000. That's when I started building websites or learning to build websites. So I did use the internet in the internet cafe, and I did but you don't need to be able to use a computer to use the internet. You just, so I loved the internet right from the beginning, but still didn't really know my way around a computer properly. I did learn. I still no expert, blimey, but I know my way a little bit around. But I don't know, if I'm completely honest, how much of the information stayed in my brain. So I go back to work on the Monday. I think I left there on a Friday, so I had the weekend off, went back on a Monday, and yeah, I think the manager had some very optimistic expectations about my future performance within the company, and he was wrong. But, and I can say this honestly, I wanted to be good. Not well behaved, but I wanted to be good at the job. Because I genuinely did. Really did. I don't know what because I don't know because what. I'd had enough of going from job to job. And I thought, and also the place I was working was the same company my dad worked at. He worked in a different part of the company, but it was still I didn't even know until I started working there. He worked in a completely different part because he was an electrician, so he was different part completely. I mean, maybe that's why they gave me the job. That could be the reason I got the job, but I never discussed it with my dad. When I went for the job interview, I didn't know he worked there. All I knew that he worked somewhere, and I was living with him temporarily as well for that period. So, one of the problems is I was really, really not very good at anything when it came to, apart from phone conversations. I was good at that. I could talk on the phone. I don't know how useful I was when it came to helping people, but you know, if I could have that time again and I was unemployed, and I wasn't being hassled, I could still afford to pay my rent, eat my food and all that stuff, and I didn't need the money, didn't need to get a job, so I could take my time. I would back then have happily have done that for free. Just gone in every day for free for 3 months, 6 months, however long it took me to learn the job. And then once I knew what I was doing, start paying me. Once I'm paying my way, you know, or whatever you want to call it, earning my keep. But I was chucked in at the deep end, and you might think, what do you mean chucked in at the deep end? You're just sitting in an office with someone else. That's the problem. The manager went sick. He went off sick, like for months, well, weeks. And he kept going off sick, leaving me there on my own, trying to run an office on my own at 18 years old, with no experience, not knowing what I was doing, and the lorry drivers coming in and winding me up and making it even harder for me, tricking me and saying, this is how you do it, and it wasn't how it was done. It was hard, very hard. And I think in the end I just left. I phoned up my previous, because I'd worked in a meter factory before that. Before the pub, I worked in a meter factory from kind of September the previous year, 1988. And I called my friend up, who was one of the supervisors, and I said, can I have a job back? And he said, yeah, start Monday. So I just, when my boss came back from lunch, I said, I won't be coming back again. See ya. But you got to give us notice. I said, I just have. Ta-ta. I don't think he was too... I think he was a bit annoyed that I left because it meant he couldn't have any more time off. But something nice happened, though. There was a point where the management realised that it wasn't fair for me to be there on my own. They realised I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing my best. I was genuinely doing my best. And it wasn't good enough. But it wasn't, I'm not going to take the blame for that. I just didn't have the knowledge or the experience to really know what to do. In fact, if anything, I probably understand the process more now than I did then. But I've got a different kind of brain now. My brain works differently. I don't know how to explain that. Less distractions, maybe. Less hormones, maybe, yeah. I'm not constantly thinking about girls, which I was when I was 18. Girls, 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 burgers, TV, girls, 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 girls. You know, that's kind of all I thought about, really. Probably for a few decades. No, when I was 18 anyway. I was, a teenager. Horny teenager, that's what I was. The thing is, right, the same bloke, not the managing director that I met in Harrogate when I was doing my computer training, but the other bloke, who was also probably in his 50s, he came up to look after the place for, I think, a week or so, until they basically were going to try and get someone else to cover from a different department, but they didn't have anyone. They kept bringing different people in every now and then for a day here, a day there, and then he came for a week, and then he came back the next week for a couple of days, I think. And he was so nice to me. He didn't give me a hard time. He was always like, relax, it's fine, take your time, it's cool, it's good. You've done it, it's like you've been on your own. You've only been working here for 3 weeks, 2 weeks or whatever, and you've been left on your own for 2 weeks solid. It's just, So, I mean, they did have someone that phoned me up that I could call if I had problems. They didn't just leave me on my own, but and they did have, so it wasn't. But physically, I was left on my own. Anyway. The last 2 days, when that man came back, he was one of the big managers of the whole thing. We had a chat in the afternoon. It was the last time I saw him, because the actual manager came back the following week, and he said to me, I'll always remember this because no one ever has at that point ever said anything nice to me before. Like anything positive or I don't know the correct words, motivational or whatever you want to call it. He told me that, and I didn't know if I believed him or not, but it was just so lovely to hear. He said that there was something special about me, and no, he wasn't trying to seduce me or anything like that. Already did that in Harrogate. No, he didn't. It was just being genuine. He seemed to be nice. He said, you got a lot about you. You got a lot going for you. This might not be the right job for you. No, he didn't say that, but I think he probably felt it. But he said, he just said you got a lot going for you, and telling me I was really intelligent, which was the opposite to how I was feeling, because, well, it's the opposite to how I'd ever felt. And no one else, including family members or anyone, no one ever told me that before, or even hinted that maybe I had a brain that worked. So that was really nice. And I think having someone like him in my life, like if it had been for a much longer period, that would have been life transforming. To have someone to believe in you, I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, the second time I ever had anything like that was in about 1999. My friend who owned the comedy club, I just did my first therapy session after sort of learning hypnosis, and he told me he was proud of me. No one had ever told me they were proud of me before, so it meant something. It meant something, and I'm still friends with him now, and he helped me so much. The comedy club man, the comedy club man, the comedy club man. But this man from the freight company, who is just so nice, Like you could go really high up in this company, and it's almost like he saw something that I couldn't even see. I can kind of see potentially how I could have done, but I just needed a little bit of confidence, a little bit more coaching, and just time. Sometimes it just takes me a bit more time to learn something, it's not that I'm slow, but I think I'm a bit slow. But not slow, maybe that's it. Maybe I've just got learning disabilities. But if I do something regularly, you generally can, I put everything into it. Well, when I was younger. But then even in the chip shop, I put everything into working in that chip shop. Learn how to do the fish, learn how to make the chips, learn how to fry the chips, all the different fish, serving the customers, using the till, cleaning everything, just, cooking stuff. I learned all that stuff. And even though I didn't like working there, not once did I not care about the customers' food. Not once. I always cooked the food exactly how how I was supposed to cook it, how I was taught to cook it. No one ever complained that the food was undercooked, or maybe sometimes overcooked. Sometimes the chips would get a bit burnt, but it happens, if you work anywhere, food does get burnt sometimes. But my attitude was, well, the chips have got to burn, but if you're willing to wait, I'll cook you some fresh chips. That was because I couldn't, if it was, it depends how burnt they are. If they were a little bit too done, it's okay. Kind of okay, and that's how I would prefer my chips anyway. Crispy. Didn't do soggy chips. Like the chip vans, soggy chips. Soggy. Bleh. Actually, they do taste alright, but they're soggy. So chips, I was taught, should be crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside. And that's like the perfect chip, which is much easier to do in a little fryer. In a little, I guess, a home fryer. But it's a bit more to it when you're doing an industrial size fryer in a chip shop, because you're kind of juggling everything. Well, not literally juggle everything, otherwise that would be health and safety disaster. Health and safety disaster. Yeah. But for example, if there was a customer at the shop and I dropped a bit of fish accidentally, or sausage or something, onto the floor, I'd always wait until they'd gone before I put it back into the cabinet. No. Some people did that. I would never do that. It's grim. Would never do that. It's like, we can't chuck away a big bit of fish. That's like £3 worth of fish. Like, yeah. So, I give someone something that's been on the floor. That's just this. I remember someone, actually one of the people would do that, and when they were gone, when they turned their back or went into the kitchen, I'd chuck it out. Like, no, I'm not giving that to a customer. So I always had a little bit of, I don't know what the right word is. Just, I wouldn't want someone to do that to me. I wouldn't want someone to give me something that's been on the floor. You know what I mean? So, Vinny's fast asleep. Bless him. Yeah, so this job, there were certain things I got in trouble with. One of the biggest things was the theft. I stole 3 lorries. No, I didn't. I can't even drive. I had to pay someone to steal them. No, I didn't steal. I didn't pay anyone to steal them. One of the problems I had was this. 2 things. Is I did the wages wrong. And again, this is one of those weird things. I did the wages wrong, okay, but I did them wrong something like 4 weeks in a row. And this is where they would get paid cash weekly. So I put it in these brown envelopes, wrote it out, the pay, tax and stuff. No one complained for the first 3 weeks. The 4th week they complained because the tax was wrong. Okay? And then we looked at previous payments because they had to make sure that I'd done it wrong. Maybe I'd done it wrong previous 3 weeks. Well, previous 3 weeks, I'd overpaid them. So they basically they bummed themselves in the ear, basically, because they had to give that money back. So the 5th week, they ended up with probably half their wage packet that they should have got. See, it's like you complain, but then everything gets checked before. Like, well, actually, because I wasn't doing it to benefit myself, because there was no benefit to me. I was just doing it through incompetence. That's going to be on my headstone. I was incompetent. Don't blame me, blame my incompetence. Wow. The king of That's quite good, wasn't it? Don't blame me, blame my incompetence. It wasn't my fault, it was my incompetence. Oh, I would have tried my best if I hadn't been so lazy. Another thing, they had this thing called a tacho, which is not the food, but is like a tachograph. There was this little white thing, and it would, I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it would log the hours that they did and maybe the mileage that they did, and they'd get extra money for extra time or whatever. And it turned out that some of them were, I don't think they were necessarily completely honest with that either. So yeah, that's the one thing. I was trying to be honest, but I just was incompetent. But that was something that I'd learn over time, you know. I'd do it properly. Oh God, they got so angry with me though. One bloke came in and he wanted to beat me up because his wages were wrong. Ironically, he didn't come in the week before, or the week before that, or the week before that when he got paid too much. Human beings, they're funny old things, aren't they? The same thing happened when I was in the bar, in the pub. Not lorry drivers coming in and moaning at me, although lorry drivers probably did used to come in. I didn't ask everyone their job title before serving them. But there was, if it's over the Christmas period, I think, and I was serving this group of people. There was probably about 8 or 9 of them, and at a table they kept coming back and ordering, and they were having the same bunch of drinks every time. And probably after about 6 servings, they came up and they were seeing me every time. And I think somebody else served them. That's it. I forget. I think somebody else served them and said, "Oh, that'll be £12.50 or whatever." I don't know how much. The drinks were a lot cheaper back then. Let's say it's £15 or £12.50. And they said, "Wait a minute, it was only £9.80 last time, and we've been coming for, this is the 5th time we've been up here. It's been £9.80. And pointed at me. "Ask him. He's been charged us £9.80, and you're trying to charge us £12.30. 32.5 pence. We had half pences back then. We had 2 pences, but I don't think we have 1 or 2 pences anymore either. Do we have 5 pences? I'm not sure. So the manager or the assistant manager would hop along and say, oh, Jason, what are you doing again? Like, are you stealing? Like, yeah, okay. That, even I knew that if you take, because bearing in mind I'd had 2 years of working on a till, so I didn't know how to steal, but I didn't want to steal, but I knew that you don't put money, you don't put down whatever, that you put money into a till and then not put the money in because it's going to come short. That's not how, it's like, it's the opposite to what you do if you want to steal money out of a till. This is you do it by shortchanging the customer or stuff like that. I don't know. Never done it, but on purpose. Honest, I haven't. So, but on this occasion, basically I was adding up wrongly. And to be fair, because they'd come before, I probably just said to him, how much was it? 980. So I just typed, this is back when you just put 980 in. You had to add it all up in your head. It wasn't itemised. So it was a lot, yeah, it was, I think I just asked them, what was it again? 980, okay. So I just let them tell me how much the drinks were. I have enough trouble remembering what the actual drinks was. So they complained to the manager that this other bar staff was charging them £12.38 and 2 pence and a half pennies, and pointing at me. But he's been charging us £9.80 now, £9.80 he has, £9.80. And I'm thinking, okay, don't know where this is going. So, bless, the manager goes and looks through the till, and he sees, and he, like, no one uses till, goes through the till roll, sees the £9.80, £9.80, £9.80. He says to me, so what drinks have you been giving them? I said, can you tell them what drinks you've had? He said, no, tell me what drinks they've been having. You don't ask them what drinks they've had. I said, but it's easier for them to remember because they've been drinking them. But you served them. Yeah, it was 40 minutes ago the last time I served them. I can't remember everything people have, can I? That's kind of part of your job. I said, don't you squeak at me. He said, I'm not squeaking. Basically looked through it. He said, well, actually, you should have been charged the amount that the other staff member just told you. The amount you've just been charged now is the correct amount, and that's how much you should have been paying all night. So you owe us, and he worked it out how much that they owed him for the last 5 rounds of drinks. And they said, nah. So they didn't get the money. He said, no, I'll pay you for this round, but I'm not paying you for what we've had already because that's your error. Which is fair. I think that's fair enough, actually. It was my error, wasn't it? See, if they'd have just shut up and just, oh, that bloke charges more, let's go back to the one that charges us less because he's useless. They could have got cheaper. I mean, it could have done that. We could still be there getting drinks from me. Now, they could have saved themselves thousands of pounds. And that's where the lorry drivers came unstuck, by complaining. Didn't complain when they were getting paid over too much, and they did have to pay it back. And that upset them even more. It's like, it's not my well, it was my fault, wasn't it? But it's not my fault. I don't know what I'm doing. What did you do before you came here? Fried chips. Actually, I had quite a few different jobs before I went there. But really had high hopes. Like I said to my friend Neil, because he worked in an office. He was like a runner, where they call them dock runners, and it's like that's the start as you get into the job. You ride around on a moped, taking documents to different places, different offices, and then you start to learn how to use the machine, the telex machine, and how to use the computers, and you kind of build into and then someone else becomes the runner, and you just go up in the company, which is probably what I should have done, what I would have been better off doing. I mean, I don't know if I'd be allowed to do that on a skateboard or skates. I didn't have a motorbike. But anyway, my friend Neil I said to him, I've got this job. You work on the docks. He said, yeah, why are you telling me what I already know? I said, don't be difficult now. I need your help. He said, okay, sorry. I said, okay. He said, we going for a drink later? I said, yeah. I said, good. Where do you want to go? I said, doesn't matter. Look, can I just ask you a question? He said, oh, okay. Have you got any advice for me? Because I'm going to start in this job, in an office, on the docks. Have you got any advice? And he said, can I have my pants back, please? I said, what? Can I have my underpants back? I said, I haven't got your underpants. He said, do you remember when you stayed in my house when we were 13 and you slept over, and you was in the sleeping bag, and we had that contest, which we don't talk about, and I was fully dressed and you weren't, and you won the contest, but I jumped up and I was fully clothed, and you didn't laugh, but I did, and I told everyone at school. Do you remember that? I said, yeah, a little bit. And he said, well, I gave you underpants. Remember, you couldn't, you weren't able to wear your own underpants anymore, so you borrowed my underpants. I said, okay. He said, could I like them back, please? I said, that's 4 years ago, man. He said, yeah. I said, okay. So I was like, do you want them now, do you? He said, yeah. I said, but we're outside. I can't just take them off now. He said, you wearing them? You're actually wearing them right now? I said, yeah, what else am I going to do with them? I hope you've washed them. I said, yeah, they get a monthly wash. And he said, what advice do you want? You can keep the pants. What advice do you want? I said, just something. What would you say is a good idea to do when I go for this job? When I go to start on Monday, because I want to make a go of this. I'm staying at my dad's. I want to prove to him that I can stick at a job, and I want to do well. Didn't quite work out that way. And he said, take a pad with you and write down what they say to you. Whatever your manager says, write it down. And that's what I did. I remember I saw my friend Neil, I think it was like 2 weeks later, and I told him it wasn't going so well. He said, did you do what I said? I said, yeah. He said, have you got your pad? And I said, yeah, I carry it around with me all the time. He said, where is it? And he looked, he said, don't tell me it's in your underpants. I said, yeah. He said, well, can you show it to me, but I don't really want to touch it. I said, why not? And we both laughed and had a little tickling session, tickled each other for about 5 minutes. And then I said, I showed him the pad, and he started laughing. He said, look, when I said write down everything he says, I didn't mean everything he says. I've got to write down good morning, where have you been, why you're late. You haven't got to write all that stuff down. It's about the important stuff, like how to use the computer system, or how to do the bookkeeping, and how to, the best way to answer a phone, and where the important phone numbers are kept and stuff like that. Maybe write down the names of the lorry drivers so you can start to remember who's who. and build up some kind of rapport with them. I said, okay, now you tell me. I'm thinking of leaving anyway. He said, no, you can't leave, just keep it going at it, you'll be fine. You're doing your computer course next week, aren't you? I said, yeah. He said, don't eat those lobsters in that hotel. I said, yeah, of course I won't. But then I left the job, after a couple of months. Went back to the factory. It's weird. I liked that job. I liked walking through the docks, the smell of the docks, and I'd grown up from the age of 7 smelling the docks, It was not, I know it's why I spent ages going to the docks and just go. That wasn't like a hobby, but it's just when I was younger thinking, I could work on the docks one day. This is something I could do as a job, because it's a career, something that back then when I was a kid people would do from leaving school all the way to retiring. But I think people still do that, and it was one of the biggest docks in Europe, I think, at the time, if not the world. So, but then, yeah, that kind of. I did work on the docks again, but only as a cleaner. I had a few cleaning jobs on the docks. A few, probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 different cleaning jobs on the docks over the years before I moved to London. Wow. Maybe that's another boring objects one, cleaning jobs. Because I know I've talked about it, but I just remembered some cleaning jobs that I've not talked about before. I've had a lot of cleaning jobs. Wow. I don't know how long I've been talking for. Just over an hour, I think. So the music stopped downstairs. Again, apologies if you've heard the music all the way through. I'll be listening back to it, of course, and if the music's loud in the background, then the only one I'll release is just this. I won't do anything other than just a basic recording. If it's not noticeable, because I can't hear it hardly at all now, but I know that the microphone, when I hear stuff in the garden, like really loud, sometimes the microphone doesn't pick it up. So, or it's hardly noticeable on the recording itself. So I'll just see. We'll see. Either way, I've done a Monday's Boring Objects. And that was my aim. That was my last week. I could hardly get out of bed. So yeah, Monday. I've actually done something. And I've also made 3 new videos for YouTube. I got some shopping in. Took Vinny out twice. So technically, and I've not got into a big grump over the music. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm slightly reactive. But today, just rode through it. I moaned about it, but not in a serious way. Just like, okay. It's like a short bit of constipation, really. It's like just like a bit uncomfortable, but then we ride the wave and it's fine. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if I've got any messages or anything on my phone. Let's have a look. I so much prefer this over making videos of myself talking. It's more relaxed for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like I can just be myself. I ain't got to look at my silly face. And Vinny's just farted again, bless him. He's been letting them off lately. Really has. and I don't know, he's like he's been eaten out of the rubbish bin again, but he doesn't. Mind you, he was eating a feather earlier. Maybe there might have been something, yeah, who knows what was attached to that. But today, what have I made today? The recordings I've done, the videos I've put together, is Peaceful Whispers, released on the 1st of April. Actually, that was already done. So I did Stress Reducer Whispers, released on the 2nd. Mind Clearing Whispers, released on the 3rd, and Sleepy Whispers, released on the 4th. That will be released on the 4th. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 scheduled for release. So I probably won't bother doing any more today of those, because, you know, we kind of got them ready and set. And yeah, I'm alright with how it's going. I mean, you know, I've pretty much had no plays at all for the last few hours, just a couple of plays. It's weird, it's the way it goes. It's just I don't know. I think one of the problems with my YouTube channel, apart from the fact that it's me doing it, is it's the, if I just did one thing and stuck to it, I would have more success on YouTube. You know, if I just said, okay, this channel is Let Me Bore You to Sleep, no hypnosis, nothing else, no vlogs, nothing, just Let Me Bore You to Sleep. You know, I mean, if I actually changed it over to that, I would lose probably a lot of subscribers. But, or if I went and said, I only whisper hypnosis recordings, videos. But it's just like, what am I going to do? Because I do more than one thing. I don't just do one video a week. I do multiple recordings, different things. I mean, at the moment, as far as new podcasts going, I'm focusing on the Let Me Bore You to Sleep ones. But I have been putting together some videos of previous recordings from quite a way back, and just updating and making them better and making them more suitable for YouTube, with videos and background music and stuff, which I couldn't put on my podcast because it's different type of background music, but it's acceptable for YouTube, but I couldn't put it on my podcast. So yeah, it's just putting it all together, really. You know, like this one, when I make this, there will be no background music on this one. What it will be, if I've managed to put it on YouTube, if there's not too much in the way of background music, I'll just upload it to the podcast. I've got a special podcast that's linked to YouTube, and it'll be just uploaded to YouTube after about an hour or two. And yeah, that'll be it. And I just have to make sure I change some of the settings, because otherwise it would, I have to make sure certain things are tweaked a little bit, because the standard settings aren't correct for what I have. Yeah, so that's it really. Other than that, not much going on. Sleepy Whispers. I like that. Mind Stress Reducing Whispers. That's good. I like that. It's a nice title. I'm also going to be looking at, because I've been going through the deep sleep whisper ones. I will be looking at some of the other hypnosis recordings as well. So I reckon the way things are going with YouTube, I will be uploading probably 100 videos from the past catalogue. You know, from recordings that no one ever listens to, that are almost like forgotten. Which is a shame, because some of that stuff I think was really good. But yeah, it's my personal preference. There's a lot of creativity there. And at the time, people liked them. But then that's the thing, you know, if you do what I do, if you keep making new stuff, the old stuff gets forgotten. It gets pushed into the background. Even though some of that old stuff might actually be maybe really useful. But at the moment on my website, as far as I'm aware, most of the things, I don't know how far back I go on my website, and I've been on this website for blimey, quite a while now actually. I've always got jasonnewland.com. I've had that for over 20 years, but going back, how far I can go back for recordings, definitely going back, I reckon at least a month. It might go back further. Let's have a look. I got March the 13th, so that's 2 weeks, 3 weeks. March the 10th, so it's March the 31st now. Which means you can actually search. There's a search bar which you can type in what you want, what you're looking for, and you might be able to search by date. I'm not sure. Just going back, a bit of clicking there. So we're now in February 21st. I think I might go back to before Christmas for this. Not 100% sure, to be honest. And it's all the different versions as well, so it's 6 versions for each recording. Let's have a look. I was checking, I got woken up quite early this morning by a neighbour over the fence shouting for a dog to come in. It was about 20 to 5 this morning, bless her. And I was waiting to see how early it gets light, but I think it's about 6 o'clock in the morning now. But it's dark until about 7. It's light until about 7 in the evening, maybe a bit later than that now, which is good. Right, January 26th. So I'm going down. I'm going down. Down, down, down. So January 22nd. Let me bore you to sleep. 1274. Okay. Wow, it just shows you it's storing a lot of stuff on here. I didn't know if it would hold all the stuff from the podcast, but it seems to be doing so. January the 11th. we might be able to go back into last year. So it's 3 hours, 3 months rather. So I had to take a little break there because Vinny was barking at the dog that was in the dog that was in the garden that was barking, and Vinny was barking at the dog that was barking. Blah blah blah. So I've managed to find that my recordings go all the way back to October the 8th, 2024. Which was 1170 boxing schedule, 29th of July 2000. That's weird. Oh, so yeah, I was uploading them into. Yeah, so actually, my recordings go all the way back to the 29th of July 2024. So I already had the podcast and then I uploaded it to the thing. So yeah, so what's that? August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So 8 months. I've got 8 months worth of recordings are on my website, which you can search for actually easily. I mean, you can go all the way down if you want, or you can go to the bar at the top. There is a look like a little magnifying glass you can click on, so I can put in if I put in Q&A Friday, Q&A Friday, really? Oh, there's 468 episodes. Blimey. 48 videos. 48 videos? Really? That's 48 weeks. No, 48 no, blimey. Because the videos are only 1 week, one per week. Because I don't do ones with music on the videos. So there's literally, I've got nearly a year's worth of Q&A Fridays. Blimey. And I don't think I've missed a week yet. I don't think. Wow. I really didn't expect that. I really didn't. Let's have a look back at the videos. Why has it stopped at that? Right, it should be more. Oh, go away. Upload. Yeah, there's one there with 10 hours, which I don't know why that's there. Load more. So see how far back it goes. I mean, a lot of them are not me. They're Q&A. Yeah, okay. It's me, but it's not like a video. Right. But it goes all the way back to the 10th of April. Can you believe this? I started Q&A Fridays on the 10th of April last year. And it's now, well, it's the 1st of April tomorrow. That is, I can't believe that. Nearly a year's worth of Q&A Fridays. Wow. 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 I mean, maybe there was a week I missed, but I can't see where. It's absolutely ridiculous. To be fair, from the looks of this, they're not all on the video, but all the audios are on there. So blimey. So yeah, 10th of April. It's nearly a year of me doing Q&A Fridays. And for those thinking, why are you making a big deal? Well, I don't know. Consistency isn't necessarily my biggest thing sometimes. I mean, I've been consistent. I'm consistently inconsistent sometimes. I mean, I've managed to keep with the Let Me Boy to Sleep, and I've managed to keep with doing this whole thing for 19 years. But, you know, I have periods when I can't do anything. But, wow. I mean, there might be the odd one that I missed. I can't remember offhand. But regardless of that, I've still been doing it for nearly a year. Who'd have thought? Wow. Anyway, I'm going to go. I don't know how long I've been talking for. Probably another long one. I'm not bragging. Thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. Lots of love.